Well, hello, welcome to the show. Along with Bob Lee, I'm Dan Patrick. Sunday afternoon, New York Giant fans were chanting, "Ray must go." And they didn't mean go to the playoffs, as the mess continues.
Not quite exactly what they meant. Which team do you think would be ticketed for January? The one that's had 5 different quarterbacks this year? Or the one with the Super Bowl trophy and only 2 quarterbacks? Wrong. The Eagles season, that's been one long catch-up since the first minutes when Randall Cunningham went down. But Philly rallied to make a serious wild card run, and the Giants are making a run for the golf course today in New Jersey. Giants took the early lead in this game against their foes from the East, 7-3 on a Phil Simms to Dave Meggett throw. 3rd and goal, second quarter, they do it again. Simms, who was 7 of 23, to Meggett, 14-3 Giants. Exultation. It got even worse for the Eagles, trailing by 11 late in the second quarter. Lorenzo Freeman, the nose tackle, lands heavily on McMahon. Rib cartilage damage. McMahon has to leave the game. A chance for the Giants, so they capitalize. Howard Cross fumble. The Eagles have it. And Jeff Kemp enters the game with a very efficient 10 of 19. Stares down the blitz. Finds Calvin Williams. It ain't pretty, but it's a touchdown. 14-10 Philly at halftime. 2 Ruzek field goals giving the Eagles the lead in the second half. Matt Barr missed twice for the Giants. That from 32 yards. The Giants lose another one. The pain, the frustration ever evident, and the chance after the game of Ray must go. 19-14, the Eagles beating the Super Bowl champs. 6 straight wins now for the Eagles. The longest current win streak in the league, the longest Philly streak in 10 years. The Eagle D came into this game leading the league in total D, rushing D, passing D, sacks, and fumble recoveries. McMahon, by the way, will miss next week. He's got the bruised rib cartilage. He'll be hospitalized. Might miss the season finale against the Redskins. The Eagles host the Cowboys next week. After this game, Ray Handley said, "I have seen this game film before."
It seemed like today's game was the epitome of our entire season. Couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that we were given. Couldn't execute in the red zone. Turned the ball over. Had penalties at the wrong time. That's what it's been all year long. That was it again today.
It doesn't make any difference, you know, who we beat from now on. I don't care if they're the Super Bowl champions or the last place team in the league. You know, our main objective is just to win these games and get to the playoffs. And it doesn't matter who it is along the way that we have to beat to get there.
And Seth Joyner with those comments. The Eagle D has been the key in the last brace of meetings with the Giants. Giants had 3 more turnovers today. The Eagles had 1. Philly had their best team rushing day, 151 yards for this year, limiting the Giants to the Giants' lowest offensive output of the year. That same number, 151. The Giants had only 67 rushing yards. The Eagle D means a Giant defeat, and the Giants knew if the Falcons beat the Rams, the Giants would be eliminated. Lots of elbow room for the big guy. Anaheim half empty. First quarter, Tracy Eaton blocks the new punter, Barry Hilton. Tracy Johnston recovers. Falcons' 3rd block punt of the year. It set up one of 2 Steve Broussard TDs. Atlanta's up 17-7 when Chris Miller finds Andre Rison. Miller 19 of 28 for nearly 300 yards. It's 24-7. And then Miller to Michael Haynes in the 3rd quarter, who had 9 receptions. Haynes for 112 yards. It was a blowout. 31-14. Atlanta's won 4 in a row. They are 6-0 against California teams this year. The Rams have lost 8 straight games. Atlanta's Brian Jordan had an interception and 2 sacks. Everett threw for just 109 yards. He was sacked 3 times and lost a fumble. The Falcons host the Seahawks, and they close with Dallas. So the Super Bowl champs are eliminated. That's the 8th time that has happened the following season. The Giants didn't make the playoffs after their first Super Bowl title. That was a strike year, as was 82 when the defending champion 49ers went south that year in 83. The Niners that year won only 3 games. Hey, the Niners, the NFC finalists, they had to win today in Seattle. Steve Young ready maybe next week. Steve Bono got the call again today, trailing 6-0 second quarter. He was 25 of 44. Where's Jerry Rice? He's got it. Dwayne Harper, the doubly effective tackle. Later on that drive, Bono rolling, finding Harry Sidney. 7-6, the Niners on top. And with that lead, John Taylor, the Normer punt returner, getting a breather. Kevin Lewis on the punt return, muffs it. James Jones has it for the Seahawks, and the turnovers, George Seifert, would get even worse. Cortez Kennedy would force a Bono fumble. Dexter Carter would fumble on a kickoff return. 16 Seattle points on 5 San Francisco turnovers. Looking for a miracle for the Niners. They're down 5, a minute to go. Bono to John Taylor. A brutal hit by Eugene Robinson, but 2 big passes to Taylor in that drive, and a 24-22 late victory for San Francisco. 4 straight victories now with Bono as the starter. He'll probably start next week. Dave Craig, by the way, committed his 107th career fumble. That's an NFL record. And when Taylor and Rice catch TD passes as they did today, San Francisco is 17-1. The Niners play KC and Chicago the last 2 weeks. That other Bono's running for the Senate. This one could be mayor of San Francisco. He needs a team next year, maybe this one. His first 3 career starts were strike replacement games for the Steelers in '87. Lost his first start this year to New Orleans. In his last 4, you see the difference. In his last 4 this year, 7 TDs and only 3 interceptions. Saints spiraling downward in a hurry, and the resurgent Cowboys. Troy Aikman, a backup to Dave. Steve Berline, 17 of 29. Darryl Johnston catches it. 7-0 Dallas, a 78-yard drive on their first possession. Saints coming back, down 6. Steve Walsh to Hobie Brenner. Nice catch at the 20-back drive. Middle of the 4th quarter, eludes Ricky Jackson's rush. Finds Michael Irvin for 19 yards. Fakes out everybody, including the guy on camera, too. And then a 4-yard TD run by Tommy Agee, not the Met. And the Cowboys win it 23-14. A 100-yard day for Emmitt Smith. Michael Irvin passing Bob Hayes for receiving yards in a year. And Herschel Walker for a number of catches in a year. Great game for Dallas. The Saints have lost 4 straight. Toy Cook, by the way, broken arm. Saints and the Falcons tied at 9-5, and the Saints would lose a divisional tiebreak. Cowboys also 9-5. Saints play next Monday, host the Raiders. The Cowboys will be in Philly the last week. The Saints are in Phoenix. Cowboys have a biggie with Atlanta. Saints are in a funk, as deep and as muddy as the river that runs through their fair city.
I don't know what it is, man, that we're doing wrong. It's just things are just not clicking for us, and right now it's just hard to put a finger on how bad things are going for us.
Well, when you give the ball to Emmitt Smith, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, if you give it to him 20 times and you watch him gain 100 yards, it's an absolute barometer of how this team is going. Today, 27 carries, 112 yards. Emmitt's played 30 games for Dallas, and they're over 500 in those games. In the 30 games before Mr. Smith went to Irving, the Cowboys just won 3 games, and already he is the 7th all-time Dallas rusher. Dan.
To the AFC, where the Raiders silver and black took on a shade of black and blue during their 2 previous encounters with the Buffalo Bills. L.A. was beat up by 48 points in last year's much publicized AFC title game, and by 14 last year during Week 5. So Sunday afternoon, Raider coach Art Shell sent out his defense once again to try to slow down the league's #1 offense to the Coliseum, a near-capacity Coliseum, and it's the Raiders' offense. Schrader with the pump fake, hits Tim Brown, and Mark Kelso can't bring him down. The Raiders would lead it 10-0 in the first quarter. On the ensuing kickoff, Al Edwards single-handedly trying to bring the Buffalo Bills back and put them on the scoreboard. He gets a great block from Steve Tasker coming out right there. 91 yards later, it's 10-7. Raiders led at 21-14 at the break. 4th quarter, Raiders down by 7, a minute to go. Kelly, James Lofton, we're tied at 27. It would get worse for Art Shell. After a Raider interception, Scott Norwood, no. 3rd missed field goal, also missed an extra point. Why did it get bad for Art Shell? It got worse because Scott Norwood would get another chance. 42-yarder. The Bills win it. The Levy shuffle. He finally gets a field goal from Mr. Norwood when it counts the most. 30-27 the winner. Kelly with the big numbers on the day. As for Thurman Thomas, held to 57 yards on 15 carries. He did have 7 receptions. Next week, Buffalo will be at Indy. The Raiders will be in New Orleans. Following the game, Norwood talked about his game winner.
That was the toughest day I've ever had, kicking the football, and you just try to separate your next kick and take it for what it is. If there's something to figure it out, and there was, my final assessment was I had to be a bit more aggressive and keep my head down a little better than I had been, and that's what I did on the final kick, and worked out there.
Not much breathing room there. Coming up a little later on during SportsCenter, we will bring you our Sunday evening conversation with Buffalo defensive tackle Bruce Smith. After failing in their 2 previous games to clinch the Central, the Oilers tried for a 3rd. This one did. Haywood Jeffries, 17-3 Oilers. Moon, 23 of 36, 254 yards in a score. And then the defense took over. Lamar Lathan with the sack. And Al Smith picks up the loose ball, 70 yards for the score. Huffing and puffing and saying, thank God it wasn't 71 yards. And Moon connects again. With Jack Pardee, the AFC Central Division champs, 31-6, the final Pittsburgh loss for the 7th time in their last 9 games. Gary Anderson became the 19th player in the league to score 1,000 points in his career. Next week, the Oilers are in Cleveland. The Steelers will host the Bengals. Following the game, the Oilers talked about the clincher.
Satisfied. I mean, that's the best words to use right now. It really feels sweet. We finally get this championship part of it over with. It was a very tough week for me, and it's been a very tough couple of weeks, but made it through.
The Chiefs try to stay in the chase for the AFC West. Steve DeBerg, a rough day. Donald Frank will take it back 71 yards. The Chargers led it 14-0. Third quarter, Chargers QB John Freeze, also having his share of problems, gets sacked, tries to throw the ball away after further review. The Chiefs got the ball at the 1 where Derek Thomas had recovered it. He couldn't advance it. Barry Word scored. It was 17-10. DeBerg benched at halftime. Mark Vlasic, the former Charger QB. Harvey Williams, 17-14 Chiefs lead. DeBerg celebrating. Chargers forced overtime. They would get great field position following the downing of this punt, and then they would get the punt back, and they would be in great position because Barry Word would explode up the middle for 28 yards. 3:34 left in overtime. The always reliable Nick Lowry for the game winner. Good 19 yards away. Chiefs win it 20-17. Improved to 9-5. The Chargers drop to 3-11. Their third straight loss. They fall to 1-7 on the road. Vlasic, who replaced DeBerg, went 12 of 18. Very economical, 150 yards next week. The Chiefs are in San Francisco. The Chargers will host the Dolphins.
Baseball news. One trade Sunday and many rumors in the lobbies and the halls of the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. The Major League winter meetings. Now, the Phillies sent 34-year-old Von Hayes to the Angels for two top minor league prospects today. Pitcher Kyle Abbott and outfielder Ruben Amaro Jr. Hayes slotted to replace Dave Winfield in right. Broken right arm rendering 1991 a lost cause for Hayes. Had no homers in that year. .225 average. He also could end up at first base if the Angels part company with free agent Wally Joyner, which at this point seems likely. Whitey Herzog is going as Angels general manager. He also today, we understand, the hotel lobby directed a profane tirade at the agent for Bobby Bonilla and Danny Tarnable. We'll have more on that coming up ahead when we check live with Chris Myers and Peter Gammons.
Which is just the beginning, as plenty more lurks ahead on this SportsCenter. Still to come, it's the Cardinals and Redskins from Phoenix as the Cards find out there's another player named Sanders in this league. The Bears, without their number 1 running back, ask number 2 to try harder against the Pack. It's a weekly affair in Foxborough. Another wire job for the Patriots. The Silverdome has spelled doom for Detroit opponents this year. Sunday, it was the Jets' turn. We will speak with Bruce Smith of the Buffalo Bills about football in the fast lane.
Anybody that says that football players make too much money, they are sick.
It was a light night in the NBA, but Mr. Robinson took his neighbors into Milwaukee to face the struggling Bucks. In the NHL, the Flames and Sabres stage a battle to the finish. And we will go to the hoop in the plays of the week.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely.
Welcome back to SportsCenter. The Buccaneers have been in the gift-giving mood all season long. Tampa has committed a league-high 39 turnovers, but on Sunday night, all they wanted to give the Vikings was a hard time.
Yeah, earlier, of course, in the week, Minnesota coach Jerry Burns announcing that this season would be his last, but will it be a playoff season? Chris Berman joins us to recap this Central Division tilt.
Sunday night football from the Big Sombrero they call Tampa Stadium, between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings with a flickering playoff chances still alive. The Buccaneers, though, hey, they've been tough at home. They beat Philly. They beat Detroit. Maybe not a marquee game, but if it's on ESPN Sunday Night Football, you know it had to be close, and that's exactly what we had. Jerry Burns, Richard Williamson. Probably the same time we'll see them at the same field at the same time. First quarter, Herschel walked 7-1 yards. Herschel had 16 carries for $126 on the night. The Vikings led at 10-3. Vinny Testaverde played pretty well. They scored about 8 touchdowns the last 20 seconds of the first half. They all were called back except this one. Vinny to Jesse Anderson. Bucs within 10, 20-10. Fuad Rebase had a pair of 50-yard field goals, had 2 other field goals on the night. Bill Parcells, is he coming? Well, we're not sure, but we know that Tampa scored late to make it close, naturally, and the Vikings beat the Buccaneers 26-24. The Vikings ran for 296 yards, most they've had as a team rushing in 65. Young Fran Tarkenton at quarterback, Bill Brown, the young legs back then. All right, let's join Joe Theismann now, and Joe, you and Mike, of course, call the game. Herschel Walker, Vinny Testaverde. fairly maligned players, yet they both delivered tonight, didn't they?
I'd say fairly maligned, Chris, I think is an understatement, to be honest with you. Herschel Walker will be a free agent at the end of this year, but yet he goes out, you give him the football, he performs, and that's really all he said constantly is, give me a chance. Don't criticize me. Give me an opportunity. I'll prove I'm worth it. But the question is, will he be in Minnesota? He could be one of those people that if they sign and market, maybe you can get something for him. I don't think Herschel Walker is going to be in a Minnesota Viking uniform next year. Vinny Testaverde, he's not sure whether he wants to stay in Tampa Bay. They're not sure whether they want him. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think that if a new coach comes in here, and I think it should be Richard Williamson, I think he deserves the opportunity, that Vinny Testaverde will start to blossom. He needs some stability, not only around him, but in the organization. I think he will be back.
Joe, once again, a close one, so you know that even though it doesn't look like it's possible next week, it'll go down to the wire. Your streak
Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
I've learned that. All right, we'll see you next week from the Hoosier Dome.
You bet, Chris.
All right, Joe Theismann and Mike Patrick on the call tonight. Next weekend, we begin double duty. Game day, special Saturday edition. That's coming up the next 4 weeks. Game day Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Then the regular hour noon on Sunday, and, of course, primetime at 7 at night. And then we pig out with who else? The Indianapolis Colts. At 8 o'clock Eastern time, they will host the Buffalo Bills. If the Bills win this game, they'll clinch home field throughout the playoffs. But that's next week. We have more of this week. Week 15, a wild one it was. Let's go back to Dan.
Thank you, Chris. This season has been full of highs and lows for the Redskins. Washington has scored an NFL high 409 points while surrendering an NFL low 169 points. The Skins have already clinched the NFC East, but a win over the Cardinals on Sunday would clinch the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Washington was a 2-touchdown favorite at Sun Devil Stadium. A capacity crowd, not exactly. Skins rough first half. Brian Mitchell, who has been excellent on the special teams, coughs up the ball. Steve Heitch recovers the ball for the Cardinals. That set up one of 2 Johnny Johnson TDs. Well, Joe Bugle used to be an assistant coach with the Skins, taking a 14-point lead into halftime. Mark Rippon answers. They dominated in the second half. Play action, a wide-open Terry Orr. 14-7 Cardinals led it. Later in the third, Rippon, Ricky Sanders. Rippon, 2 touchdowns on the day. We're tied at 14. Fourth quarter, still tied at 14. Chip Lowe-Miller, 42 yards away. It's 17-14 Skins. They would tack on another field goal as the Joes walk off the field. Bugle and Joe Gibbs, 20-14 the final. And the Redskins have been dominating in the second half this year. They have outscored opponents 429 to 183. Biner, 116 yards. Rippon, 256 yards through the air in the 2 scores. Next week, the Skins host the Giants. The Cards will be in Denver. The Bears faced a familiar face in the Packers' Mike Tomczak. Tomczak giving the Packers a 10-3 lead in the second quarter, hitting Jackie Harris. Well, Ditka had to be impressed with his old QB. And with Brad Muster. Neil Anderson wasn't in the lineup, but Muster, the former Stanford great, makes it a 14-10 Bears lead. Jim Harbaugh, second half, to Wendell Davis. 35-yard score. Bears win it 27-13. Harbaugh, 2 touchdowns on the day. Mike Ditka's 100th regular season victory. Tomczak, great numbers, 22 of 39, 215 yards. Harbaugh, 16 of 25 for 209 and the 2 scores. Next week, the Bears will host the Bucs. The Pack will be hosting the Lions. The Bears were watching the Lions game with the Jets, and that's Jets defensive coach Pete Carroll saying, we got to stop the Sanders guy. Well, they didn't. Barry up the middle, a 51-yard jaunt. 14-0 Lions. The Jets would come back. It was 14-7, still in the first. Eric McMillan picks off Eric Kramer. Not only coming up with the INT, he did the dirty work, and he decides, well, I might as well take it back all the way. 14 all. Turnabout is fair play. Lions up 27-17 in the third. Brad Baxter fumbles the ball. Tracy Hayworth waltzes in from 28 yards. Tracy Hayworth. The Lions win it 34-20. Sanders 114 yards, 2 scores. But a costly victory for the Lions. Brad Baxter, the chop block on nose tackle Jerry Ball, left the game with a sprained knee. Ball spent the second half on the sidelines with Joe Dumars and Isaiah Thomas. Misery loves company. Barry Sanders said after the game it was the dirtiest game he's ever played in. Ball was yelling at Bruce Coslett, the Jets head coach, calling it dirty football. He says, I'm taking these game tapes right to the commissioner's office. They should not stand for this. 34-20 the final. Detroit registered its first 10-win season in 21 years. They're a step closer to their first playoff berth in 8 years. Next week, the Lions in Green Bay. The Jets will be hosting the Pats. While Barry Sanders gets most of the headlines, and rightfully so, that Detroit defense has definitely been part of the story the past 3 weeks in particular. They forced 5 turnovers on Sunday. They have averaged 4 sacks for the last 3 weeks, 3 interceptions, and nearly 3 fumbles. Bob?
Denver and Cleveland. They have co-authored some marvelous AFC history, but John Elway's writing arm was too sore to anticipate another chapter today, and the Cleveland Browns too anxious to stay alive to think that the mile-high Broncos could run a replay on the shores of Lake Erie. What with, well, Jim Brown, former Brown great, watching and urging some positive thinking as the present-day Browns pressure John Elway flushed out, and Cedric Figueroa is there. This would lead to a Kevin Mack touchdown, make it 7-0. Dan Reeves got his club's attention. They got the ball back. They drive down. Elway 30 yards to a diving Michael Young. We are 7-7. Let's go to the fourth quarter. Michael Dean Perry marked down for Christmas. Tie game. John Elway with 9 minutes to go. Vance Johnson on an 8-minute, 16-play drive. Elway 221 yards, 2 TDs, 17-7 as Denver clinches at least a wild card. Elway also had a 60-yard reception in the air to Steve Sewell, so much for the sore arm, as the Bronco defense holds opponents under 21 for the 13th time in 14 games. Denver hosting the Cardinals next week. They close at San Diego. Only 20,000 in Foxborough to watch the Colts. 20,131. The smallest non-strike Patriots crowd. Rick Venturi, club up 7. Minute to go. Third and inches, I should say, and Dickerson stopped by Vincent Brown. Hugh Millen's got a chance. Fryer's hurt. McMurtry's hurt. Who does he throw to? Michael Timpson to the 2 with 9 seconds to go. No times out remaining. Millen to rookie Ben Coates, his first NFL touchdown. Let's go to overtime. Oh, these cardiac Patriots. 9 minutes into the OT. Millen to Michael Timpson, his first NFL touchdown. And Millen, who was sacked 8 times by the Colts, is sacked by his coach. The Pats win at 23-17. Millen 21 of 40. Timpson 3 receptions for 84 yards. Dickerson, by the way, did pass Lenny Moore by 1 yard to become the Colts' #2 all-time rusher. Colts still alive for that #1 draft pick. And the Pats, by the way, with that 5th victory of the year, now the entire team will split a $250,000 bonus. There could be more bonuses in the offing because they are one of the most improved teams in the league.
Do you like that bonus, though?
Why not? You need incentives out there.
If you're the Patriots, you do.
Not enough guys get money for performance. Some guys have a guarantee they're going to split. It's not a lot of money, $250,000 among 48 guys, but it's there.
At least it's a team bonus.
Right.
When SportsCenter returns, the Spurs look to return to their winning form. We will have highlights of San Antonio in Milwaukee.
First, let's go inside the numbers. The Century Men on the ground. Ernest Biner for the 4th time this year, and for the 7th time this year each, Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. These are the 3 best rushers in the conference. Sanders leading Smith by 27 yards. Sanders now with 16 TDs and 13.55 in. Do not forget Herschel, who went over the century mark for the Vikings in our game Sunday night.
Now to the aerial shows. Only a couple of 300 shows. Jim Kelly, the AFC's #1 passer, over 3,700 yards, 3 scores. The Patriots' Hugh Millen has thrown for 2,700 yards to go with 8 TDs, but also 5 INTs. And Vinny Testaverde, in the loss, 330 yards and 2 scores. Can't blame it on him.
Los playoffs. The NFC picture a little bit more clear 2 weeks to go. Skins clinched the home field through to the Super Bowl. Nobody else has clinched anything. Chicago would beat Detroit on a divisional tiebreak. Atlanta would beat New Orleans the same way. If the Lions and the NFC runner-up go, then one of those wild card teams would make it. Only one would make it, but look at that. The Vikes with the win tonight are still very much mathematically alive.
In the AFC playoff picture, the Bills and Oilers have clinched their respective divisions, while the Broncos have clinched at least a playoff spot. So have the Chiefs. The Raiders still on the outside looking in. Seattle, Cleveland, and Miami still with a chance to get in to the playoffs. Still to come, our Sunday night conversation with the Bills defensive lineman Bruce Smith. Plenty to say about on and off the field problems